Welcome back, OGN Legion. If you're just joining us, that's probably good. We didn't have much of a game number one. Kingzone rolled over the top of KT like a steam train.
Yeah, Kingzone DragonX, like the Dragons showed, was straight fire in this game, obliterating KT Rolster, who will say, well, we tried something, it didn't work, they'll throw it out, and KT will try to come in anew after what was one of the most one-sided games we've had in LCK Spring 2018. The MVP could have been anyone on the side of Kingzone DragonX, so we'll see who they decide to give the MVP to.
Sort of feeling like there was a certain Ezreal who had some pretty outstanding outplays, so you may as well just chuck it over to Prey. But it's going to be BDD.
Very high kill participation, 5, 1, and 5. In the Galio matchup, where Galio usually can contain Patilia, the usuals were thrown out very early when the botched gank came in from Score in the mid lane. He went for Scorch. He didn't need a Gathering Storm. Kingzone don't play games long enough to get value out of that particular rune. And this is the thing we didn't get to show in game, but Score really thought about what to do. And by the time they engaged, it didn't matter if they had the Cannon Barrage. They were not in any way looking like they were serious about that gank. And I love Peanut coming in here to stop the Justice Punch from getting out. Peanut continues to stay in a position to stop any sort of escape. They get a second kill onto the Galio. 2 kills from Talia playing into Galio, so unlikely. And then felt like stopwatches were up till the end game. Prey only went down right at the last after the game was over, but in this fight, he was far too strong. MVP to the entire Kingzone team, and to Khan, who was never going to be bullied into any teleport.
And that was Prey with his stopwatch available as well, until pretty much the very end of this game.
He still has it here, by the way.
Yeah, he still has it here. As he gets over the wall, dodges Score so effortlessly. Everyone just taking way too much damage. Smeb trying to fight Khan, but that was a losing battle. Kingzone just look a tier ahead. Basically any of their opponents, but this is like you say. KT not finding the strategy, not finding basically anything at all, and Deft popping in that last battle.
It's one of those weird realities where it was so overwhelmingly decisive that you kind of let it roll off you if you're a pro player with any sort of experience. That's just one that you leave to the side and say, okay, let's go on to game 2. We'll make it all anew. Let's win 2 best-of-1s and get through here. Kind of how you have to look at it. If you're KT Rolster, Kingzone, it's more of the same. 11 in a row. Perfect games. Basically, when it comes to a run, no losses. 5 matches, looking to make it 6 matches.
And strategically incredible performances as well.
Yep.
Understanding exactly what their compositions needed to do. Fighting at the right times. No change this time around in game 1, but is game 2 going to be a different story? KT gets rehashed the draft, sorted out. What do Kingzone decide to ban away? I have a feeling that there's a certain blue dude.
I mean, they're very good at playing it, so maybe they'll force a ban out of KT Rolster. A ban away the Gangplank. Don't want to deal with the globals. Does mean the chance for the Riven goes down, unfortunately. Good news, though. OGN Legion, he is playing it into Gnar in solo queue as well, so there's still a chance.
And you're right. Rise is going to be banned, but it's going to be banned on the red side. KT still potentially going to be stifled here as far as bans. I think that, often you have those sort of bans thrown out on the blue side.
How many bans would you like against Kingzone DragonX?
How many champions are there?
About 140.
Yeah, so let's go with 135.
Oh.
And just leave all shitty ones, I guess.
This is why you're the play-by-play, not the analyst.
Well, I mean...
I gave you one analytical question, instantly swear. Well, speaking of champions that aren't top tier, would say that KT didn't pilot Galio top tier, so they will ban away the Galio on red side. I don't want to see BDD and Kingzone execute on a Galio comp. Something like Azir is pretty conspicuously available. We're going to see more mid lane ban. That's kind of been the flavor so far on patch 8.2. It's still very early in the patch rotation.
Zoe available still. Sejuani going to be the one banned away, though. Not opting in for a potential first pick of
it feels like first
Bristle
pick.
And friends.
When you see Sejuani blue side ban, it says, I really want this mid laner or I really want this AD carry. It's usually what it means. So I imagine it's probably going to be a mid lane champion for BDD. The Zoe is available. The Azir is available. He's been practicing Zoe in solo queue. Would certainly be a treat to see BDD's first game on Zoe. We'll see how Kingzone approach the draft.
Ooh.
I asked for it. Will I receive it?
Yes,
I want it.
Will,
I
Papa
got it.
Smithy.
Oh, yeah.
It's your birthday. How many birthdays have you had so far this year?
I cast LCK 5 days a week. 5 birthdays a week, baby.
That's ridiculous. ridiculous. That's too many birthdays.
I know. Feels
birthday, man. Thankfully, we've got a week off next week, so Papa Smithy will have to avoid having a birthday. Is KT looking at one of Deft's favorites in the Kalista? It'd make me sad. Just think that there are different options.
There's a lot of power left in the draft. Kalista Alistair is not available. Rakan on the blue side could be tempting for Kingzone.
Yeah.
Would be probably one of the bans towards them, Xayah or Rakan, in the second round if we don't see a first round AD carry support. Usually we see junglers taken first round because they thin out a bit early.
Kalista Rakan was also a huge duo as well, so they are going to lock that one away. Okay.
Denies away Xayah Rakan as well. So Kalista Rakan, an oldie. This was Rift Rivals last year.
Yeah, it actually started by MVP, I believe, last year, as far as the first outing of the Kalista Rakan, and it was disgustingly strong.
Yeah, a lot of teams took inspiration from it. So good and so reliable.
Is that why we get that, like Keystone choice every single time?
Which one?
Inspiration.
I'm going to ignore you now.
That wasn't the best one?
No.
Okay. It's been a long night, Papa Smithy.
Ezreal locked in. Could just take a support here or a jungler. No junglers taken. And like I say, start banning junglers if KT doesn't opt into one now. Waiting for Kingzone DragonX here. See, Zoe Ezreal already is oppressive siege. So how much siege are we doing for Kingzone DragonX?
Seems like every time we see Zoe, somehow Ezreal is picked alongside her as well. Camille for the flex pick. Going to be locked in here. I have a feeling that Peanut could be taking that one, though.
Khan was being very outspoken, so I'll take the other side of the coin and say maybe top lane. So see where that resolves, but flex picks on the blue side always so powerful, trying to put some doubt into the minds of KT. So
Zia is available here.
You kind of have to take your mid laner now, otherwise you're going to be in an awkward spot. I'm going to try and play through mid lane even after the Malzahar nerfs, so going to want some sort of strong combat jungler in order to try to target the Zoe.
And Pawn has been able to navigate the Zoe Malzahar matchup extraordinarily well in the past. By far his most played champion as well.
It's surprising to see
not by far, but still.
Tahm Kench banned against Kingzone just because while it makes sense against the Malzahar ultimate to have the disengage, Rakan's so good at tying up a Tahm Kench, can do it for so long with Grand Entrance and the quickness that often you get very low value out of Devour, so a bit surprised to see Tahm Kench ban. Gnar ban on the blue side does continue to suggest that perhaps it's not going to be a top lane Camille, so maybe you're right on the money there, Atlas.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel like Khan wants to be picking his champion straight away, but it's still leaving it up in the air, right? Ambiguity is certainly something that they can pivot on if they want to. Shen is going to be the last ban here for KT. Gorilla not going to have that opportunity, and Khan also not going to have that opportunity, and we'll see what Smeb wants to take or what they actually want to pick up here, because it could be score locking in something. Jarvan, of course, available. Oh, no, actually, just going to be banned away.
Vladimir available as well, so the status of that particular champion is interesting. I thought of something aggressive, but the Kha'Zix's banned away means that Jack's going to come in here. Very likely for the jungle. Not as much burst damage to profit off a Malzahar ultimate, so a little bit more safety on BD. I wonder if he will also follow the Crown playbook and go for the Lost Chapter first, then a QSS. Delay the QSS a little bit, because right now the threat in mid lane not looking that strong in the skirmish.
Gorilla with his tried and true Taric having a look at. Interesting that they're not going for anything like a Braum or something like that. Maybe not wanting to go into a ranged matchup.
They don't have that much fight starting so far. Only the Hextech Ultimatum, and later in the game, the Trouble Bubble when the AP stacks up. So we've seen definitely the Titan Arc work out, and I mentioned fight starting. This would be a way to get them the engage they want.
I believe this will be the first time that Peanut's played the Zac so far in the LCK.
Definitely a little bit out of character for him, having a series where he might play Sejuani and Zac, and no combat junglers, but they needed engage very desperately, otherwise the Cosmic Radiance was so likely to be a non-factor as Taric from behind and with low engage is basically a lose-lose. So now KT. What are we going to do here, KT Rolster? Looking like top lane confirmed to be the Camille, so it's going to take a tank matchup, and they just change at the last minute. It's going to be a Cho'Gath here. Very interesting. In Europe, we see a lot of Cho'Gath as a counterpick to the Vladimir, but not a lot of blind Cho'Gath, or at least Cho'Gath in non-Vladimir matchups. Hextech Ultimatum can be turned around very quickly by a more Warmogs. Cho'Gath with an ultimate. So interesting to see the Cho'Gath selected here, and the deletion potential with suppression and AoE silence, and also all the AoE wombo from the Kalista Rakan as well. So much reliable engage here for KT Rolster. Closing out a game with this draft. looks pretty possible to close things out. But then you look at the side of Kingzone, they've got more unknowns going on. First visit by BDD onto the Zoe. The Zac needs some time to get into relevance. Feels like only Khan is going to be super comfortable in the early game for a bit of lane presence. KT Rolster's draft is a bit different. It's going to be intriguing to see how these two 5-man lineups come to bear in Game 2.
Yeah, I actually just really love what Kingzone have, though, as far as a 4-1 composition, just because so much poke potential out from the 4 members. You've got the Zoe and the Ezreal hanging out there, and then disengage options. But then you've got the Camille, who's just happy to split push all day, and then can transition into, you know, pretty decent team fighting as well in a 5v5.
Yeah, holding down the Camille would delay that inevitability of the 4-1. So we'll see if KT can shore up their early game play. That's what let them down in Game 1 of the series. That's in the most need to correct for Game 2.
Yeah, now with the Relic Shield meta being taken away, I feel like the Kalista Rakan could be an opportunity for KT Rolster here. It looks better on paper, but can they change it around on the Rift? Let's find out right now. Kingzone fans, pretty excited.
Well, we actually have the cheerleader very close to the booth here, so got to hear them in full voice. Two super popular teams here. I'd say the second and third most popular teams in Korea. KT has probably the second biggest fan base, a very loyal legacy fan base, and Kingzone, of course, have really drummed up the numbers with all their success, and of course the reuniting of 3 out of 5 of the 2016 Rocks Tigers. There's a Peanut fan. That Kingzone DragonX little light thing was cool.
Yeah.
Had a Samsung Galaxy one of those years ago for Samsung Blue, but that's before. And KT Rolster will also hope that Game 1 is something well in the past. They want to start this series anew and look for a 2-0.
Saying that maybe that one at the top of the screen next to Kingzone is actually just a bug, because we don't remember what happened in Game 1. None of that momentum wants to follow them now.
Interesting, a Wolves leash actually given over by Khan on the top side. No aggressive information here, so no aggressive wards from either side. Does mean that Zac is more likely to get a free farm phase. It's bot lane.
Yeah,
Mana and Deft just messing up at level 1.
You can see Prey just completely pressured, have to go all the way around. May have actually missed out on some experience just with the position that Deft was able to get himself into.
So rarely do we see the brush camps very early into the game, but that one worked a treat as Prey and Gorilla went very aggressively into lane. Could have gone the defensive route, but chose not to, and second grand entrance of the laning phase.
Cute little follow-up there from Mata as well to try and maximize the damage after the grand entrance. Deft unable to follow up, but this is a sign of things to come. Could be dangerous.
Very interesting to see what the first item rush is for Mata. We've already alluded to it, but we've so far seen Ardent Sensor rush on the Rakan and also the Zeke's Convergence rush.
Yeah.
Both of those very interesting for different reasons. If you're wondering why we saw so little Rakan, and specifically Xayah Rakan, in patch 8.1, really didn't fit the Relic Shield meta so well. Ranged auto attack means not able to have something like a Thresh auto attack with the extra souls or anything like that. So very difficult to get value out of double Relic Shield, so it's kind of outclassed because of Relic Shield line. Relic Shield being out of the meta, or at least double Relic Shield lanes being out of the meta, does bring back Kalista, let's say the Rakan, but also the Xayah Rakan. So that's why it's cool to see it back, and this is our first visit to Kalista Rakan, the old favorite from the second half of summer 2017.
Deft and Mata certainly showed that they knew exactly how to get that one done. If there's anything that you associate these two players with, it's having engage options.
Peanut's level 4 very early.
Yeah, in goes Peanut. Smeb flashing immediately. Peanut still has his. There's a lot of options now for Kingzone, and yes, Smeb just has to walk it out. Might take him a while to die.
Yeah.
But BDD's going to get up here first. And there's this. So, first blood going over to Khan all too easily to Kingzone.
Yeah, level 4. It's a super power farm after the Wolves leash of all things came out from Peanut. I'm sure Smeb was surprised by that. Thought he was shoving out his last wave, then going for a back. Doesn't happen. Right now, Kingzone have a 6-2 first blood win rate, but that's not as impressive a stat when those 2 games are against KSV in their first series. They got 100% win rate in general since that series.
Yeah, exactly.
Looking to go 12-0 in game score in a row.
And this would be such a statement as well. The minimum amount of games played for Kingzone with the fastest average game time. They do not like spending time on Summoner's Rift.
And the chance of them going 16 in a row, I mean, the opposition they have isn't going to be any of the top teams after they're done with KT Rolster, so very likely they'll end the first round robin 8-1 at minimum, but that perfect game score in a row could extend very far as bot lane.
Oh, that was stunning from Deft. Grand entrance actually to try and turn this around. 2 versus 3. That martial poise. Deft in the right place at every point of that game.
Peanut and Zach doesn't necessarily seem like a combination made in heaven, but even on SK Telecom, he had a couple of super impressive performances on Cinderhawk junglers. Largely the Zac was the best one for him. Sejuani was up and down, but he made some really cool plays on the Zac with gank bot lane after being invaded, kind of surprised the enemy team with his aggression on Zac, because most Zacs we see power farm to a minimum level 5, but usually level 6 before they get involved. So after we saw no early vision from KT, I like the adaptation from Peanut to be super proactive with his ganks, because people don't respect that level 4 Zac can do quite a lot if there's damage in his lane to follow up the CC.
Also, all of gank paths is that if he is going to gank, you'll never know. I like that. Quan getting the shove out, though. Not something that we often see.
That is really
just come back with the tell. Not a great sound, is it?
Super loud. That was weird audio balance there.
Yeah.
Maybe we have an audio issue. Can we get a pause, please?
Oh, yeah. Pause for the casters.
No one ever thinks about the casters.
Oh, Gleaming Quill. What an ability.
You're so proud that you remember the name of his Q, perhaps the most useless ability in the entire game.
It's the only reason why you remember it, because it's probably the most useless ability in the entire game.
BDD's showing us he's not going to get any ganks this game, because he has QSS Rush. Still doing fine in terms of lane control. The base damages weren't nerfed on the Malzahar, so still shoves pretty much the same as before.
Yeah, only really the Q and some cooldown on the Nethergrass that's the problem. Going to be irrelevant late game as well, because it does go down level 16.
This time you see that Peanut is spotted on wards. Pretty deep vision put down by Score after the first game. Allowed Smeb to kind of do what he wanted with the lane.
Really nice answer with the Rupture there, but Smeb still struggling against Khan. Damage trades certainly in favor of the double Doran's Blade pickup. What a beast. That's how you win lane.
We don't need to explain it to Khan. He doesn't need the diagram to win lane. He does it pretty much every time.
Yep.
Cho'Gath has to give them more pressure against the 4-1, because I think you were kind of very spot on with your read, where if it was Ornn, the chance of them being split to death by the Ezreal Zoe poke in the 4 and the Camille in the 1, looking like there was no way for KT to circumvent that. They go for Cho'Gath, which means less ranged engage, but they already had plenty, so I think going for a little bit more reliability in the laning phase, a bit of a chance for, some gank assist and a kill was probably smart from the side of KT. Still doing very competitively in CS. Almost impossible to deny Cho'Gath. That's why way back when he was the most famous 1v2 champion in the 1v2 metas in top lane.
Yep. Certainly remember that. Good old lane swap meta. Beautiful times.
Hotshot GG, man.
Yeah.
He innovated that 1v2 Cho'Gath.
And then we had Golpatan Poppy. Just a really good time.
3 Philo Stones, 3 Heart of Golds.
This was half the time versus a Jarvan doing exactly the same thing.
Good days.
Top lane was really, really interactive.
And it's largely not interactive now, but Khan, of course, always sees paid to that idea.
He has saved the top lane meta, Papa Smithy. He is our messiah.
Well, is someone going to save the Drake? Probably not.
I think we'll have Deft killing it, though. There we go. Friends that one to death.
Good lane control from Kalista Rakan after the early game means there was no potential answer there from Peanut. Didn't want to go on a one-way journey over for the optimistic steal onto the Cloud Drake. The next one, though, will be an Infernal.
The dream.
We've already
Kingzone
had 3.
Could make it 4 in a row for this series.
Yep. It's already been 3 in the first game. The only 3 Drakes of that game, so ratchet this game up more.
It's basically the bushfire combination of Drakes, Gets windy and you've got that much fire, it's a big problem.
Smeb inching together, you would imagine a Frozen Heart. Right now going to be pretty squishy, all things considered. Zach's here.
Oh wow, the flash actually means Khan follows. Doesn't get the elastic slingshot as that's the kidnap. Double teleports coming in, but KT not going to have enough members. There's 4 on the top side for Kingzone. Never you mind. Pawn still throws down the ult, trying to find some more damage, but Score's not wanting to come in. And that was just a vacation. Gorilla says, I want to come up too, this sounds great.
Yeah, it was a disengage ultimate from the Malzahar. Obviously no threat of kill range. I don't even think he had the Malefic Visions on him to extend the duration. It was very much a, please don't dive me, I'm here 1v4. So in the end, does get out of lane after all of that. Mata on his back took teleport, sorry, took ignite. Gorilla took teleport, hit the rift, very smart with the teleport, that to guarantee the kill. Could have seen the cancel from Pawn, but going to be a massive issue with Smeb. Going to clear minion wave in mid lane, but the kill score, still 2-0. Kingzone looking to continue to ratchet up after an amazing game.
Yeah. Much better look than game 1 though here for KT, regardless of the fact that it is 2-0 in favor of Kingzone.
Still looking to learn more about BDD's Zoe, 2-2. FLICKR's Zoe, both at All-Star and in this season as well. BDD, another exquisitely talented mid laner, so hoping to see some cool stuff. Teamfight Zoe is something I still get very excited about when it's not about just max range paddle stars and max range trouble bubbles.
Yeah, I feel like Edge really showed us what to expect from a team fighting Zoe, especially when he was able to utilize pulling out so many different summoner spells. Made my life extraordinarily difficult. It looks brilliant when done properly, and BDD, like you say, certainly has the skill to be able to make that happen. At the moment, though, he's going to get silenced, and Pawn is going to get baited real hard. The flash should come in straight away as Score is going to turn up, but they've been here before. Zhonya's available for BDD, of course, but good timing on the silence. BDD gets out. Oh, the flash! Too late! He already had the W prime. The Empower was there as Peanut trying to get over the side. Kana teleported in. Hook shots there. That was cute from Score, but not quite able to get there. Marta gets in with the quickness. Kidnap comes down and Score survives forever. Oh my god, Ultimatum comes in. Score survives forever, but it's not quite long enough as Pawn had gone down. And KT almost achieved the impossible.
Yeah, just an insane passage of play because Taric was there at the end. They end up going 2 for 1. Outplays upon outplays, but not enough for Pawn to live. BDD could have used his stopwatch. Might have been silenced. I missed that on the tape. We'd have to watch the replay on backing in a very aggressive spot. Mata wasn't able to spare that, and now...
Oh, pretty good positioning there from Peanut as Deft has to flash. We're not going to get the Stretch Armstrong to land onto the Kalista, but Prey's happy to just stand underneath the turret. They wanted to utilize, oh my god, Deft with the outplay. No opportunity for Prey as he'd picked up turret aggro, and it does a lot of work at that point. Deft is so low, has to be so careful, but Gorilla isn't going to be able to pick up anything.
That's the sort of outplay that can really get wind in your sails. Deft knew exactly the right amount of damage, able to turn around on Prey, who did not use heal. There's small little mistakes here, maybe piling up for Kingzone. Game 1 so one-sided, they might have thought that all the hard work was done. We still have a series on our hands, and KT are still in Game 2.
Yeah. And we know what Deft is capable of when given the Kalista, and we know what Mata is capable of when he can play so far forward on Rakan because Deft is there to help him out. Oh, okay, just a little bit of popcorn chicken for BDD.
Playing the 4-1 here. On the one hand, looks very promising, given that 3 kills are already on the top laner. We'll talk about this first, though, as Deft buys a lot of time. Stopwatch means that he'll have 250 health after this all starts. And watch here. Peanut accepts the fact that he's eventually going to die. Able to dodge away, doesn't get hit by a Q, threads his own Q, gets the Ren for the kill. That was just a straight-up surprise for Preyers. Mid lane.
Yeah, Pawn actually respecting BDD so much. Cancels out the ultimate very, very quickly.
BDD getting quite a lot of lane control. Happy to walk up. Sorcerer's Shoes interrupts the Merlinomicon, but he's got the shove on. Malzahar for now is on the back seat. Zach is invading. It's kind of the weird spot we're at where the advanced vision doesn't matter if Zach's actually on your side of the jungle.
Wow, that second proc doing a whole lot of damage there from Rakan as we saw the top side.
Deft has a big item lead bot side. Notice the Iceborne Gauntlet's not complete usually much earlier than the first item by the Roman King. Smeb looking for a kill on Khan.
Yeah, Khan actually getting yelled at here. Remember, the feast is available. If that was a level 11, I feel like Smeb could have just pressed the button and killed him, but not to be the case.
Righteous Glory into Warmark's expected build for Smeb. Let's give him the health to ignore the first salvo from Khan, and eventually, like you say, the feast confirmed. Gonna be pretty inevitable.
Yeah, Cargo or Stoneplate probably to come in after that. For that disgusting combo, Assassination Cho'Gath, who's full tank. Seems fair.
Now there's a big window for KT to use, again, the global advantage. It didn't get them much in the previous game. Smeb has a teleport advantage. They have triple teleport, but Khan not having teleport means there's no ability for him to react to the Infernal. So this must have to be donated by Kingzone, barring some creative delay, and it doesn't look like it's coming.
Yep, understanding where their power is. KT on the bottom side of the map certainly is where they're strongest, as the 3-0-1 Camille was walking back from base. So good communication from KT, understanding where their windows were. No teleport was available. So exactly what they were able to get out of the circumstance.
Now it's a bit of a holding phase for Kingzone, because the way they want to play this game is still very much online. Their split pusher does have 3 kills and an assist in the early game. So 4-1, when the items roll onto BDD and Prey, is very possible. But they need 2 items onto BDD. Ideally, Morella Nomicon, and I guess this game, with all the health stacking, you want the Liandry's second, getting it early. That's when you can start playing the 4-man comp where Peanut kind of just hangs out of vision, threatening with Elastic Slingshot, and Gorilla's there for an ultimate and a bit of sustain. Khan is strong, so the game plan is still online. On the side of KT, things are going better than expected there, especially as suggested by Game 1 as well. The item timings are good for KT. Kingzone are behind when it comes to damage because of the QSS and a couple of mistakes around the mid to bot lane. So we haven't really had this game pushed in either direction yet. It's nice that we have a relatively even game 16 minutes into Game 2.
Yeah. Shout out to Pawn here as well. I mean, he's picked up the Boots of Lucidity, 30% CDR. A whole lot available as far as getting that initial lockdown is concerned. Prey gonna get tagged up. Score moving down towards the bottom side. Peanut, great positioning as Cosmic Radiance is there from Gorilla. Prey going to survive, but there's Stretch Armstrong. Kidnap comes in as well from Peanut as Pawn turning up at the right time. Deft in trouble, so low, and Gorilla's going to be able to pick up the kill. Not entirely sure how, and Kingzone now continuing forward. Teleports land in. Kingzone want to be able to pick up more. There's no dragon to be taken here, but they might be able to kill Pawn. No, Trouble Bubble doesn't land. Oh, the dazzle from Gorilla! That's what we needed. Khan grabs his 4th. And now Kingzone should be able to grab this out of turret in mid lane.
Watching the replay, you will see some significant outplays. BDD was a boss, baiting out the Malzahar ultimate, using the portal jump to de-leash it. He can even teleport out as well to pick up CS in the bot side. Kingzone straight up outplaying KT Rolster, and also credit to Peanut in the bot lane, shadowing his bot lane, being in the right spot. We never saw this from Peanut on SK Telecom T1, but he was out of vision the entire time, baited in the engage. Prey doesn't die on the Ezreal, so the start is good. The kidnap is massive. What I want you to watch on the tail end is how well BDD deals with Pawn. Walks up, portal jump, too easy. No value out of the Malzahar ulti and the roam down from Pawn. The teleport is complete and you think, okay, the only thing here wrong was that Khan could have cancelled his TP. Then look at this Bastion link from Gorilla. Beautiful stuff with Peanut. Comes and cleans up the kill. They get objectives. They get everything. Kingzone DragonX living up to the reputation of being the best.
Yeah, and that's what we expected with Peanut moving into the roster. It's like probably the epitome of what we wanted when there were, 3 members of Rox Tigers here. Peanut and Gorilla, of course, back in the day, playing so beautifully together. It's another example of that. Kingzone, all of a sudden, 6-2, 3,000 gold lead. And this just seems to happen every single time they get onto the Rift.
But you're really struck by the fact that Peanut can play a style that he couldn't play on SKT. His play on Cinderhulk junglers was a thing that finally, for a player who was vaunted as the best jungler in the world, and then in 2016, got a lot of criticism in 2017, and rightfully so. His performances were not the same. But the return of Prey and Gorilla to be there to really help him out with his position, and also some adaptation of his own game. You can't just lay everything on the feet of Prey and Gorilla. He's consistently in the right spot. That has meant a new lease on life for a jungler who has always had the mechanics, but now when he's in position to use them every time, oh boy, that's something you have to deal with.
It's terrifying. Prospect of what has been unlocked in King Zone.
Smeb is kind of going to be depressed that it's a 4-0-1 Camille out of nowhere.
Yeah. Although, I mean, he's died twice, so he understands where some of it came from.
Yeah, one of it was certain. First one was certainly his own fault, but teamfight cleanup has happened for Khan outside of that. Gold lead's only 3,000, so it's not massive yet. Game is still in its formative stages.
Also doesn't feel like KT have absolutely zero options now as well, just with what they have available to them. Smeb's getting bigger and bigger as the game goes on as well, so that feels good.
Peanut's pretty massive himself. Only person with 100% kill participation and being so often on the enemy side of the jungle, which is kind of amazing when you see the Zac. So often he is in his own jungle, just kind of being denied away from looking for any sort of ganks.
Yeah.
Proactive Zac is such a different thing, and it's what Peanut brings to the champion, so something that's going to be in the back of the mind for every opposition that faces King Zone in the future. Not that they had enough to worry about with Khan.
Yeah, exactly. He's been rewarded so much here as well. We'll have such an early Warmogs by the looks. So, yeah, getting scarier and scarier. Score, he's very close to the Trinity Force for item number 2. So the Jax will then get to build some defensive items, become as tanky as he can. Tiamat for Khan does show that the split push is certainly on its way.
But you could say in a simple way that Peanut on kind of the defensive-minded side of the matchup, you'd always take Jax over Zac in the early game when it came to pressuring lanes, is out-jungled Score pretty significantly. I said his pathing so far this game, he's been ahead of the action and Score has been behind the action. So already for a matchup he struggled in before, that's really good to see from Peanut in particular. He's being able to play different sides of matchups that have really struggled with in the past. So credit to Peanut where credit's due. KT going up for their 3rd Drake of the game. That's been their only good news story. A lot of secure here with Rend and the Cho'Gath.
Well, speaking of secure, they're going to try and get on this team fight. Khan's going to be turned on immediately. First kill going down in favor of Smeb. Cosmic Radiance is going to be enough. No! As Deft picks that one up. King Zone just want to try and grab a dragon for it, and it is actually going to go in favor of Prey. They'll probably lose Peanut. No, actually able to flash his way out. Malefic Visions is there. BDD still trying to snipe people off. This combo of the Ezreal and Zoe, dangerous if you're trying to back away.
The vision they had got them the pick they wanted. 2 dead early. Khan with all summoners and ultimate up. Could not outplay the Malzahar. They get 2 kills for an Infernal. So KT needed that sort of stabilizing impact. They don't have enough to turn onto the Baron though so early into the game. They can't punish King Zone in any meaningful way.
Well, still, certainly bodes well for KT if they can get team fights like that happening again. They're moving the gold back towards parity. Okay, in goes Khan. The teleport's down as well as Smeb at half health. Wrong place, wrong time once again, my friend, and it's Khan that picks up his 5th.
Struggle when you're facing these multiple unsealed spellbooks or the extra teleports. You can't be lazy about which lanes you choose to push up. Cho'Gath disrespecting in that space, well punished by King Zone, who will look to crash the outer turret and top as well and extend their gold lead. Smeb, so often the reliable member of KT Rolster, has found himself mispositioned a few times in a row, and more than one time is one time too many against King Zone DragonX.
Yeah. Can just roleplay as a tank though, as his Warmog's now completed. Righteous Glory can get him out of base a little bit quicker. He's not going to be teleporting to this turret though, as Khan just tears it up. Trinity Force, of course, helping that very, very much. Looks like Titanic Hydra will be the option here instead of the Ravenous option that we saw from Camille in Crazy's hands the series prior.
So let's see what KT can do with where the game places them. 2,000 gold behind, not massive at 23 minutes. Good item completions on their team. Khan looking to be a jerk.
Yeah, well, he's going to ultimatum Score. It takes so much damage. The slow comes in, and Peanut, that was a security just saying, I want to continue having 100% kill contribution. And there it goes.
I mean, I'm trying to say something nice about KT, and they keep dying, so it becomes very difficult. They could have put down their wards and played around vision to look for a pick in this area, but Score dying. Again, summoners mean so little against the Hextech ultimatum. Kingdom's going to start the Baron and look for a turn.
Well, Mata does get himself control ward into the pit. They can tank this one for a very, very long time, though. Trouble Bubble doesn't find Marta, who still wants to try and start this fight off. Whoa, Cosmic Radiance is there on top of every member of Kingzone. They're turning on to Smeb, who will probably be the first casualty of this fight. But good positioning from KT, and they'll be able to answer one back. Marta goes golden, as Deft still full health. They have a redemption as well. Kingzone have to back away.
You wonder if that was the right decision to turn off there. There's a potential that KT could have finished them off after the Baron was claimed by Kingzone. They didn't feel confident, even though there was no smite on the side of KT Rolster to stay on it. The first call was turned, that was the call that was made, and they end up trading very evenly in a situation where they held all the cards.
Yeah. Do like it. Aggressive maneuver from Kingzone, making sure that they're pushing the envelope as much as possible. 3,000 gold, still the lead for them. So despite the fact that that play did look good for KT, it's still falling further and further behind passively as this game moves forward. Khan, a large reason for that, because he's been able to get on top of these turrets and smack them down all too easily.
That is the outer ring cracked by Kingzone. Vision now, and any sort of vision bait plays from KT get more and more risky because the minions give away the fact that someone is missing from lane. Getting value out of the Malzahar ultimate, who's in pick build. He's kind of slowed down his build to get a Banshee Veil so that he can camp a brush and not just die to the first Trouble Bubble sent his way.
Well, the first two.
Yeah.
Handily enough. Pawn not really trusting very much at this stage.
It's basically, I need to pull off an ult on command, and very likely to do so with two different CC shields.
Yeah. Need to buy myself as much time and space as possible.
But that's only if you're camping a brush. That's only if you have vision control, because in a long lane, Ezreal's going to Q a million times, and eventually both of them will be knocked off. So it's very much about vision plays. KT playing around vision have great catch. Malzahar ultimate, Cho'Gath silence, feast. It's very simple. But now that they're behind and the map is opened up for Kingzone, the answer to that, of course, is Camille starts pushing an inner turret and then an inhibitor turret. KT have to make the proactive move, and then they're exposed. So
yeah,
that plan can definitely be corralled away from KT Rolster, but it's kind of all they have going for them. That's what happens when you fall behind in the early game to a strong 4-1 comp.
It's only getting stronger as well. Steric's Gauge is actually what Khan decided to go for, so still the Ravenous Hydra Dream is available. Plus to any Ravenous Hydra fans on Camille. I do really like Steric's Gauge and Trinity Force just in general. We've had conversations about this all the time, Papa, but
base AD
feels good. Just feels good.
Only way to add damage to your Trinity Force damage, so I understand that. It also means that when he's inevitably pushing with little vision, chances of him being feasted down, even when one person comes to gank him alongside the Cho, is less. Can't mess that up.
Yeah, I don't know what he was trying to do there, but he's definitely dead now. Bouncy Castle comes in, decides to throw down the ultimate because it might be back up again once he gets out of the death chamber.
Very rare micro mistake by Khan means he's dead for quite a long time. 40 seconds with flash down. KT will take control of Baron, and this is a scenario that seemed impossible. They can now put down control wards and say, what you gonna do, Kingzone? We got the Malzahar patrolling all of the brush. They start to clear around Baron. The map control that looked impossible is looking now possible for the side of KT Rolster.
Yeah, exactly what they wanted to do. Score's gonna turn up and save Deft from a potential collapse from Kingzone, but no Baron being looked at. A lot of vision available for Kingzone as well. You can see blue wards are littering the map. Makes you wonder how Khan was so easily collapsed on from every angle. Kingzone get back into the Baron pit. Regain control. Pawn just waiting in a brush. Not sure what he's waiting for.
No teleport wards, so no chance of a Cho'Gath with the right to score against the backline. Let's watch what happened here. So he, of course, sees the Kalista at this point, flashes over, and then just messes up the hook shot from what we can see. Goes straight over the wall and dies. So that was very bizarre.
Yeah.
Steric's Gauge not going to save you there. Because it's Khan, you, again, seem very surprised that that could happen, but we witnessed it.
Yeah, it's like he hook-shotted way too early. And
it's almost like he double-tapped hook shot, right?
Yeah.
It looked like he went over the wall when obviously he only intended to boost off of the wall.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you're being chased by a Fate's Call and the Rakan coming in, you can, of course, double tap, and that can happen, so...
Still would have been extremely hard for him to make it up.
Most likely dead anyway, but still the interaction was a peculiar one. that does mean that Kingzone being bossed around, BDD is forced into the side lane to pick up minions. 1-3-1 rather than the 4-1 they would prefer to be doing. Khan gonna leash the Ocean Drake.
Even them out as well, so Ocean, not exactly the Kingzone special. We've got, like we said earlier, the bushfire versus what could be just boiling water. Khan's not actually going to take that one down.
Would have also forced the Elder Dragon to spawn very, very early, given the next Drake would have been spawning around 35-20 in a win condition for either team, but going to be delayed for now. Both teams can influence whether there's a massive win condition like Elder Dragon on the Rift by actually visiting the low priority Ocean.
Hookshot being a bit weird for Khan today.
Take a step back and appreciate that the items are very close because the gold lead is not there, certainly in any way, compared to Game 1. 3 items on to Deft, who also has the Lord Dominic's regard to start busting through someone like Peanut. The poke also going to register. Void Staff now complete for Zoe. Getting their flanks control warded, actually pulling off Zoe 4-1 gameplay is what they want to do, and KT not interested in that, having Malzahar in a side lane and trying to draw Kingzone into a 1-3-1.
I have a feeling that the audio issue may have come back again.
We saw an adjustment of a headset, so that seems likely. Wait for Joel to confirm.
He needs to hop on Discord, guys. He might have an audio issue as well. Who knows?
Confirmed.
No,
more audio
Thank you very
issues.
much, Joel.
We were really hoping these would be fixed, but sadly, KT Rolster here. Sounds like Smeb, who was, of course, having the issue before, was trying to play through it, but it's flaring up more, so it's going to have to be a headset replacement. That might add a couple of minutes to this pause.
Yeah, just going to exchange it over. But I'm glad that it sort of got paused at this stage. You know, it's not in the middle of a team fight or anything crazy like that, and there is still a lot to talk about as far as the state of the game at this point that we are at, because we're well and truly past the mid-game, getting to a point where KT can actually start orchestrating some of these fights.
And it's a very different 1-3-1 scenario than we're usually used to, because you think about the mid lane matchup, Malzahar versus Zoe, and you think, well, both these champions kind of want to get blue buff and stick in mid lane, right? They want a short lane. Neither of them arise when it comes to side lane, not even Azir when it comes to mobility in side lanes. Think about what Malzahar bought this game. He went for a Banshee Veil second. In addition to his passive, this is about the safest side lane Malzahar you're going to see. And that's the question is why? Well, they can actually play 1-3-1 and force Kingzone to abandon the 4-1 if they get decent vision control, where Malzahar will be relatively safe with 2 different shields to not be picked off in a long lane trying to push over a minion wave. Then Zoe has to respond and isn't there with 3 items to rain down hell with Trouble Bubbles, blue buff, and try to paddle star people to death. That delays the game, allows them to reset a little bit. Already they're very strong around the Kalista, so 1-3-1 for now. This delay from KT Rolster is definitely much preferential to the 4-1 that is still set up with the fed Camille to be pulled off by Kingzone.
Yeah, I like how it's compounded as well. I mean, you mentioned the double shields, but he's also then got the Ghost and Flash, and you press Ghost and run in the wrong direction, those shields are going to be eaten up, and then you're going to be, you know, beyond the hill on the horizon at that point. Checking out Deft and the bottom lane of Kingzone here as well. Gorilla just wanting to get back into it, start things off. This is by no means anything like game number 1. KT looking far more competitive, and especially when you've got Deft on Kalista and Mata on a playmaker like the Rakan, you can see he's got a smile on his face as well. This guy is ready to start some fights.
It's why we noted at the end of game 1, Smeb was smiling. He's the shot caller. Yeah. They obviously got completely obliterated, so why are they smiling? You know, some people at home are probably saying, like, are they even taking it serious? There's a very different phenomena when you're smiling after game 1 in a best of 3 than if you're smiling after losing 2-0, right? If you're losing 2-0, if you got slammed 2 games in a row like they did in game 1, and then the players are smiling, then it's like, why are they taking this seriously? If it's game 1, you want to keep morale up for a best of 3. Yeah. So they were very much in morale-saving mode, and to their credit, they come into game 2, they abandon game 1. Has it been perfect? No, but it's certainly been a lot better, and that's why we're left with a competitive game 2, rather than one where if they were already wearing their hearts on the sleeves after game 1, maybe this would have already been gone.
Well, shout-outs to Peanut as far as continuing the momentum that Kingzone had in game number 1 forward, because the Zac play has been extraordinary. 100% kill contribution for the first 25 minutes of the game, showing that proactivity on Zac is not something that you wish and hope for but will never get. It's something that's possible.
I see a new headset for Smeb.
Yeah, it looks fancy as well.
It is really fancy. It's got lights up on the side.
Can't have an audio issue now.
Nope.
It's impossible. What does it say on the side?
I can't read it.
Probably
Not giving me any free product placement.
Shouldn't
Sorry
be
about that.
should I? But I'm starting to hear game sound, so here we are, back in. Smeb is okay with his fancy glowing yellow headset.
We try and make sense of where the game is at. We mentioned already that the Ocean would force an Elder, but for now, no one's starting it. Zoe having to patrol side lanes, trying to answer the minions pushed forward by Pawn. Game in a very delicate spot, where it feels like the next big engagement, the Baron buff, whatever, will fast decide the game, and Khan in that awkward spot he kind of always was in last season, of pushing without much vision. Already been collapsed on once, still only now getting his flash up. I believe his flash is up. I guess that could be a visual bug. But
everyone having like massive item spikes here as well, Papa, because we've got the Gargoyle Stoneplate completed on Smeb, or Dominic's Regard done for Deft, as well as the QSS. He's in a great position to get these fights moving forward. We're a Void Staff away from KT really wanting to get these ones moving.
And for now, there is 2 QSSs on the side of Kingzone, BDD and Prey. Khan doesn't want to be involved in true 5v5, doesn't want to have to face check for vision, wants to be in the side lane, so doesn't feel like he needs the QSS. We'll obviously need a lot of communication as to the movements of Malzahar, but what did we say? Malzahar's build and also playstyle from Pawn has been, I'm going to 1-3-1, stop the 4-1 from being as reliable, and try to get the minion waves pushing to never allow multiple minion waves to actually crash down onto KT Rost.
Yeah. Well, pings onto the Baron. Vision, of course, still available for Kingzone, and KT would like to get Kingzone to a point where they can be held accountable. At the moment, there's not a whole lot of pressure on Kingzone to do anything at all. Just going to continue trying to get this push working. 3 control wards picked up by Khan, and that is it.
So what they need to do to actually pull off the vision they want is to have Zoe push out top, invade with Taric and the Zac to get the forward vision onto the enemy red. Then you can consider starting the Baron. But because Malzahar keeps pushing up the top side, they've never actually had the space afforded by the minions to try to collapse and have Zoe poke with a trouble bubble to get the vision they need, and that's why the game continues to stall out. So around 32 minutes 30, they're not able to push up the vision they need to actually force an objective they feel superpowered to do. One trouble bubble onto Jax.
Yeah, fair bit of damage on the score.
Yeah,
it's Prey. He's going to take a bit back. Grand Entrance comes in, but Prey, is he going to survive? The ultimate comes in, but Cosmic Radiance is there. We need to pull out the stick, Steph, but he's not in range to find the Rend. Good God, that damage from BDD. As Marta wants to stay in the redemption, he does so. Paddlestar not going to get there, and I'm not sure how no one has died just yet. Prey and Marta were the focuses, but just didn't quite find the kills.
Prey able to lifesteal up. He's going to be sustained up by the tier Taric, the melee range Soraka, as Wraith called it. He still has his heal up as well. That's comical.
Yeah, Stretching Strike actually catches Deft, though, flashes out of the way. Gonna get stunned, and Pawn wants to get in front of him, but no, just a casual kidnap from Peanuts. Gonna lock down the kill on the Kalista. That could be a cataclysmic mistake from KT.
That means that Kingzone are going to try and turn onto the Baron. A couple of free flashes for BD to look flashy himself. Marta's still alive. So is Score. Score is not going to recall. He has to be around the area. The Baron is starting.
Battlestar from BDD could actually kill Score here if he's able to utilize the flash to create the distance, but BDD's going to fly forward. Does get the flash down, and in goes Peanut. Pawn tries to stop him from getting over the top. Health bars are getting low, but Score, he's going to be the first one to die. There's just too many members of Kingzone here as Pawn limps away from the fight. Prey's going to pick that one up. All too easy is the chase down with this composition. Just disgusting, and Kingzone once again, all form, all class, and they'll take the Baron.
And you saw why KT wanted to prevent a scenario where they could 4-1, because this is what the 4-1 looks like. Actually a 5v5, but it's very similar in construction. Able to turn off Baron with ease when Trouble Bubbles and Zax can pop over the wall. They get the first kill onto Deft. No way for KT to fight back from that. They pull off the Baron exquisitely well. No Baron's being stolen from Kingzone DragonX.
Just
that may be
amazing stuff.
The thing that will really ice out this game, because now it's Baron buff with the Trouble Bubbles raining in at full damage. We're watching the replay. Pawn has to cancel his ultimate because he knows there's nothing he can do. They turn on to Score. He's the first to die. They're not going to rush down a Baron in the face of a Smite and also a Feast. So from here, dancing around the fights, cleaning it up, trying turning onto the Baron. Beautiful stuff from Kingzone DragonX.
Now, you got a Void Staff on B2D. He's feeling brilliant. Fallen pretty close to getting his too, but the 4-2-1 Kalista. Deft was going to be holding this team up. To feel that it's all on his shoulders.
Well,
it's now all falling back down again.
And now the math is simple. 4 in the mid, 1 in the bot lane. KT have to.
Gold lead too,
yep, KT have to Rambo, but there's trouble bubble.
Fallen's going to stop for a little bit. A bit of extra damage there.
Voidlings actually did interrupt the paddle star, if you're wondering.
Thank God. If you're a Pawn fan, because he would have probably been dead.
No counterplay to this from Kingzone. Nothing that KT can do. Short of giving up their inhibitor. Anything else would accelerate their own demise. So Kingzone will back away, continue to poke around. Oh boy.
Yeah, now we're getting into the fun stuff. Papa.
Someone's having fun.
Yeah, and his name's B2D. Paddle stars, he can just throw them out as much as he wants. All the cooldown reduction, all the options. Finding the bubbles, but it just doesn't matter. If he's creating enough space, then all is fine. Actually has to use his flash to get out of the way of that rupture, but that's just going to mean the end of Smeb, who's actually really tanky with the Gargoyle Stoneplate. Ultimatum flies forward, but Score is still going to die. And that's 3 swift kills. Deft trying to run away, not going to be enough. Double kill comes in for BDD. He's ghosting around. He's having a great time. Tower's going to actually kill him as Pawn's able to answer back on that one. But with Baroned up minions, Kingzone looking to make it a swift 2-0. 36 minutes into the game, and KT crumpled at the hands of Kingzone, who just look better and better as the weeks go by. What is the answer to this team? We thought we might be able to find out tonight, but it just flat out didn't happen.
Yeah, Kingzone DragonX make KT Rolster look ordinary, and what was supposed to be a super close, super hype battle for first spot is just a confirmation that Kingzone DragonX are the best team in the world. The lineup that could have taken a long time to come together. The questions from people like me, would they be able to fit in Peanut? Could they vary their playstyle from Cuz just being a helper for Khan to be the primary carry? The answer, a resounding yes. They have integrated him far quicker and far better than we could ever have imagined. They are now on a 12-game winning streak, including the who's who of the top of the LCK. And now, the question has to be, who can take a game off Kingzone DragonX?
Yeah, someone's got to try and stop this juggernaut from just plowing its way through. They need to find someone who's going to be able to challenge, but like you say, after this, who's that going to be?
I mean,
second round robin? Is that what we're looking at?
The first round robin, there are no top teams barring Kingzone pulling a KT and getting too excited. It seems almost incomprehensible for them to drop pound for pound, player for player. They have some of the ultra superstars in the world all in form. This didn't even need Khan to pop off. He got a nice scoreline, but it wasn't about his counter picks on Riven and Fiora. It was just about how solid a team they are, and they made KT look like just about any other team in the league. There is Kingzone DragonX, and there is their opponent. Do we even name their opponent because it feels like this is a faceless jobber walking in to lose 2-0 to Kingzone DragonX?
Yep. It's just a frightening prospect. It's now the battle for second place, it feels, for everybody else in the league. They've set themselves apart from all the competition. We had a last bastion of hope in creating some sort of equality in the top end, and it was KT Rolster. Not anymore. That 2-0, especially if you look at game one, just disgusting. A shellacking, if you will.
A lot more competitive in game two, so credit to KT for disregarding what was a super one-sided game one, but you don't give a free game one to Kingzone and win a series. In this sort of form, you need to play with everything. You need to have your strategies synchronized, and they were very off the expected game plan in game one. Game two was better, but then Kingzone had their own confidence, and when Kingzone are firing on all their cylinders, maybe it doesn't matter what you have to be able to play against it. Because Kingzone, and Peanut in particular in this game, made us a believer of Peanut Zac, a Cinderhawk jungler, for a guy known for his combat junglers. Great performance by Kingzone, great performance by Peanut.
Yeah, Peanut actually, he made it look like Zac was, we mentioned it on the cast, an early game jungler. Able to utilize the Elastic Slingshot to get himself into all of the situations to make Smeb's life difficult to start things off, and then went down to the bottom side of the map, which is something unheard of for Kingzone DragonX. You see top damage actually comes out of the Camille because she was just wailing on a Cho'Gath the whole game. Makes some sense. Pawn tried to do what he could, but
there are not many teams in the world in any era. I would think of maybe 2015 summer SKT, where a team winning a single game off them is hype. Automatically hype. Already you're jazzed. You feel like you saw something that you didn't think you were going to see. Because after performances like this and their remarkable consistency, it does feel like an event when Kingzone inevitably drop a single game. Will it be in the first round robin? Will it be in the second round robin? Will it be in spring 2018? Peanut is your MVP, had 100% kill participation for the majority of the early game, made us a believer of Isaac. There's more champions you need to ban from Kingzone, and you made the joke about how many you need to keep them in check. The number's growing, Atlas.
Yeah, undying performance as well as was able to turn up at any time he was needed. It's just extreme. BDD didn't quite find the kill to finish off Pawn. But man, Peanut just really had the series of his life this time around. Even game number 1 was a fantastic performance, even though it wasn't necessarily about him. It was just about the team being amazing.
Nice interrupt on the leap strike there from Khan to cement the death of the Jax. Just really clean, really aggressive. So it was still Peanut, but it was a champion we're so used to watching it. This was a team call. This is the sort of moment where you know Kingzone is on the next level. The control ward in the lane, ready for the counter guy, expecting to a T the Kalista Rakan engage at that time, and then turning it around easily. Love the portal jump from the Zoe there, baits out everything from Pawn, and this also just elegant stuff from Kingzone.
Stunning. Exactly what you need. Kingzone all class today on the Rift. I have to admit, I was expecting a little bit more out of KT, but if this is what we're going to get out of Kingzone, we're just going to have this level of flawless League of Legends. I ain't going to complain.
Yeah, we were going to be blessed with any result. If it was close, we had a contender. If it was a 2-0 for KT, we had doubt. If it's a 2-0 for Kingzone, you just sit back in awe at what you're seeing. And also the chance that any champion could be played by any of these players in any role, and it could be new stuff every time. We have not seen the zenith of the champion pool for Khan, even though he's playing the who's who of top lane. Another new one in Vladimir this time out. He doesn't need to play 2 of a champion. He plays a new one most times and makes us a believer. Now there's Zach for Peanut as well. Kingzone DragonX on a different level to KT.
Yeah, talking about unique champions, I think that actually evens things out. Peanut now feeling real good, but let's have a look at the MVPs, so we'll throw it over to Joel for some translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Joel with your last interview translation of the day, and we're here with Kingzone DragonX. Another series without a defeat. They are here with the MVPs for today's series. Will be BDD and Peanut. A win means a 2-0 for Kingzone DragonX at the moment. BDD, how do you feel right now? Consecutive win streak means a lot for us, but it's more meaningful when it's against the stronger teams. And I want to just keep the streak going regardless of the teams that we're facing. And we saw on the camera that you were consistently talking with each other regarding the game coming up. I think BDD died once in game 1, and you know, during the game I felt like I need to say something so that he doesn't die ever again. So you know, if we're striving for perfection, and that was a mistake for him to die, and he shouldn't have to die if he plays well. How do you feel about that comment, BDD? I did play cowardly at one moment of the game, which that led to my mistake, and I think I don't really have anything to argue against him. You did get MVP with the Talia in game 1, and we thought that, you know, the KDA was kind of was ruined a little bit by having that one death. And did you ever feel that your Talia is different from every other mid laner right now who can play that same champion? Now, since I'm really fond of the champion itself, and I think just the more games played with it makes me a better Talia player than the other players. And it's definitely a must-win champion when it comes to picking Talia. even when I was in SKT and I told that my teammates that when BDD picks Taliyah, it's most likely gonna be a very difficult game, and that trend is continuing even in 2018. And the way I see him in practice and just even in competition alike, it's just really good. BDD really can't hide his emotions of all the compliments Peanut's throwing at him. How do you feel about that? I mean, I feel great that I've been acknowledged by the best jungler in the world. It feels great. And let's look at one of the highlights coming from BDD in game one that got him the MVP here. It was a 2v2 that we thought you were going to be behind for most of this. I really felt like it was more the opponent's mistake that we won at this one more than us doing good on that one. And BDD seemed you kept your composure in situations like when you were seemingly caught out. I knew that Peanut was right beside me, very close in distance, and I knew that just having that fact got rid of all my fears. And let's look at game 2 in terms of picks and bans, and it was kind of surprising that Kingzone actually banned out Kha'Zix, and we felt like it would have been banned against you guys. And it felt like you got the jungler that maybe you didn't prefer as much, but you still did really well. I just felt like, I could have gotten myself, but if it, by any chance they gotten it, it would have been a tougher game for us, so I tried to ban it early. And right now, you're talking about Zac being a less preferable champion, it's 3-0 right now in record. I feel like I'm being fortunate when I get to Zac and the games go really well with it. I think really today it was all about, not really me wanting the Zac so much, but I think the teammates really needing that utility for me. Did you ever feel like Peanut was feeling good today? No, he was telling me all day that his play was going to be amazing today, and I just got tired of it at one point. But I think he definitely improved this point when he told me that all day long. And let's look at one of those situations where Peanut amazed himself even. I just feel like whenever Peanut goes somewhere, a kill will be the result of things. And this might have been the only mistake that BDD made all this game. And this was really a lucky situation for us, and the lucky, the ultimate that got the two champions there was kind of a lucky situation where that made a lot of a difference. Well, the instinctual things that I can't even predict for myself kind of comes into play in situations like that. Do you remember a situation where you just flew in kind of recklessly, but you still got a kill off of that? Yeah, but it was a situation where we communicated with each other and the teammates said, I could come in recklessly and still would be able to get a kill there. I think we can look at the highlights instead of talking about it. Yeah, I knew that I had the Q available, so it wasn't gonna be as reckless as it first seemed, but I think it was a good communication between our parts and making it work out. I don't know if he's really intending it, but every time in big team fights, Prey seems like he's looking like he's going to be the bait, pulling in all the aggro from the opponents starting off the fight. I think a fight does open up, and we try to think about it after it happens. But I don't know if it was an intentional bait or anything, but it's just a fight that broke out, and we just had to react to it more than anything. Peanut, would you like to say something in more honesty?
KSV전은 픽을 몰라서 약간 저희 팀이 헤맸었고.
I think during the KSV phase, we didn't know the champion interactions as well, so that's what we struggled with. But
일단 강팀이 되려면 바텀이 제일 잘해야 돼서.
you know, it's important for a best team in whatever league you are is to have a strong bot lane, and I think it's because of the strong bot lane that has shown good form recently is the reason we're having such good results nowadays. And what we want to continue on with that is that ever since Prey gets caught up and you know the fight goes well for you guys, it just seems like everything was meant for it to be that way. You know, but in terms of let's talk about pick and ban, is that you know we all talk with each other and we all communicate with each other and we all have an input on what the composition should look like, and that unity and the trust within each other kind of helps the overall game. And of course, the Kingzone, the play and the kind of the level of play that you guys showed kind of exceeded just another expectation from us. And we think even from the laning phase all the way to the end of the game, for even through the macro plays even, there just isn't any type of flaw that we're seeing from you. You know, but if the laning phase is good, we have more options to finish off a game the way we like it, and it just gives us a lot of different choices to make from it. And you do, once again, get off with another 2-0 victory. Peanut, would you like to say anything? BDD, would you like to say something in the end? We still have a lot of games left, and we want to win all of them and remain as the very best. And we're trying to end the season as first as well. Peanut, any last words? We thank you all for staying up really late. Sure, it wasn't our fault that it was late this time around, but I hope you guys have a wonderful night. And a wonderful night that Peanut wishes all of us, and I'm sure we will definitely get that after a play like that. We're going to end with our interview and head back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Joel. Great to hear from BDD and Peanut. All confidence, but no reason not to be. Absolutely stunning play out of Kingzone. And the one problem that we've got, Papa, is we need different ways of saying that they're the best. It's just getting boring.
I mean, at some points when they play as effortlessly and flawlessly as this series, maybe we just don't talk. Maybe we just let the game talk for itself. Usually the commentary is there to add value, but Kingzone DragonX is so flawless. The value is so obvious. Anyone in the world can see they are on a different level. +10 in game score. I'd love to see the new Inform of FLICKR Freaks play against Kingzone DragonX, but of course that is going to be a second round robin matchup. They don't have much competition left in the first round robin. They've run through KSV, FLICKR Freaks, KT Rolster, so they're through most of the top teams here. Seems like it only gets easier and easier for Kingzone. They're playing their own game and dictating to everyone else, and no one else on their level just yet.
Yeah, I'm just so excited to see how these next 3 positions shake out, Papa, because KSV seem like they're dwindling just a little bit, not able to really get the solid victories, but it's this next team that we're going to see, FLICKR Freaks. They'll probably go to town on MVP just a little bit, but it'll be cool to see them style. And then Jin trying to break in to that top 4 knot of teams against the Rocks Tigers.
You haven't been here for a while, Atlas, but I remember 2015 where it was so hard to sell a team when SK Telecom T1 with Marin in summer were just rolling over. Everyone else kind of played their games, and you like this team, and then they just lost 2-0 to SK Telecom T1. We'll see if a FLICKR Freak can make us believe. We'll be back tomorrow, guys. The League of Legends doesn't end. We had a 70-minute epic. We had just a crushing defeat by Kingzone. Great day of League of Legends.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. So we'll see you tomorrow night, guys. Have a good one. We'll see you then.
Trust that you're able, and you trust that